Yeah, so I think our industry is one of those industries that have been around for the last 30 years. Industry that was built on technology, which is the telco industry, as you know. It was one of the biggest innovations when it came down, made communication easier and everything. But what has happened in this industry is that for a longest period of time, from a consumer perspective, from the industry perspective, there was only the discussion of voice and SMS. So therefore, the entire infrastructure was built this way. Consumers were given a product a certain way. But what has happened is the consumer needs have suddenly far outstretched the advances that have been made in the industry, which means consumers are now living in a smartphone world. The devices have completely changed. People are living in a data-centric world, so their consumption patterns have changed. But this infrastructure is not capable of handling this thing. That's one. The second one is even the pace of change when it comes to consumer, and it's not just the products I want, it's the devices they hold. It's my experience I want. Right now, customers want an experience that's always on demand. I want to buy things online. I want to get a cab right away. I want to do things. The pace has suddenly accelerated in the last 3-4 years. Things that you weren't ever doing online, you weren't doing on your mobile. Now you're doing everything on your mobile, right? So it's a culmination of factors that have come together, and that's what's the headwind is in this particular direction. The old world, or rather I would even call it the old world run by the old guard, needs to really understand what's going on. And then some of them do understand it. And the other thing they must understand is not making a decision is still making a decision. It's making a decision that you're going to do it later or not going to do it. But the consumer demand or a competitor is not going to think the same way. So you notice that a lot of telco providers in our space knew the opportunity that was there in using over-the-air apps. For example, removing SMS as an option, just doing text chatting. But they were all slow to evolve. And therefore, all the SMS revenue is gone. So whether you decide to do something or not, the writing's on the wall and it gets taken away. Then WhatsApp introduced calling, and there's Skype. And so now, one of the most lucrative areas of the telco, which is the IDD calls, is now disappearing quarter on quarter in a manner that nobody has ever seen before. So the old guard and the new world needs to understand that there will be people who will take the position in the new world, whether the old guard wants it or not. But in telco, because consumers, it's like consumers are using the iPhone, so they're getting served from all internet companies in the world. They're already spoiled and used to data savvy world, but you're continuously providing them a very old class thing. So when you're in an asset heavy industry, when you're in a regulated industry, and where the disconnect between the user and the provider is very high, then I think these headwinds are much more severe. So a couple of things that we've done from our industry point of view, our entire infrastructure that's building on focused on solution is online only, for example. It's designed to serve people who buy things online in a very seamless way. Our consumer platform is based on the smartphone. So you never have to call a customer service line. You never have to speak to anyone. You never have to understand what your usage is like. You can self-serve yourself through the mobile app the way you're traditionally now used to serving your other needs. So giving the power to the customer in this way so they can deal with it. We're focusing a lot on UI UX. So UI UX is the experience you get. So whether the app is designed nicely, whether the experience, the email, the message you get is nice, right? It's a matter of aesthetics as much as it is about mechanics. So that's what we've improved quite a bit. On the infrastructure side, everything we do now is on the cloud, which is, and it's a very high, intensity private cloud that we've set up. But the future, I think every telco company will do it like this, right? And what that means is your cost of deployment is lower, your ability to put out new applications is newer and faster, but at the same time, you can scale with the consumer's need together. And you're able to deliver these solutions better at the end of the day. Yeah, I think the key here is that I think this is the firm foundation of how we've set up. I think you have to listen to the customer. And I'll give you a very specific example for this, right? The way we're built, analytics is at the core of it. I know if you're my user, I know what button you're pressing on your system. I know that if I've offered a product to you, if you're even clicking on it or not. And if you're not clicking on it, I need to change it and I need to. So that instant, everyday feedback that I need to get from my customers, even if I'm not talking to them directly, is key to continuously evolving, right? And then of course you have informal ways that you do. This is gone as the world where you launch a product and 3 months later you do a survey and a focus group and get feedback and figure out what you're going to do. I need instant feedback from you. Before maybe I select a group of people and launch the product too, because technology allows me to do that, and then I get feedback. So our entire focus is what we offer today may not be relevant in 5 years, may not even be relevant in 1 year. So how do I build a system that's continuously learning? And you need analytics for that, and you need to build it into the core of your product, right? So in our case, again, the Smart Power platform allows it. If you're not using a feature, I can remove it. If you're struggling with something, I can see where you're struggling, and then I can offer a feature that helps you with your struggle. And I think if you think about it, and to your point, compare it to any other telco in the region, they're just not built that way. They're built in a way, I have invested this money now in this infrastructure. This is the return I need to have. This is the subscribers I need to have. So I need to create a package that earns me $40 or $50 or $70 a month. Therefore, I'm going to put this much gigabytes in it. Therefore, I'm going to put this many minutes in it. And therefore, I will sell it in my traditional stores. It works absolutely the other way. And that is the key difference, I think, going forward. And that's the difference that allows you to stay nimble and allows you to stay lean and listen to the customer.